And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called This came out at the Essen Spiel Fair in 2016. I didn't know anything about this game other than they found yet another city that did not have a game based on it. So you knew that this game was going to be probably themeless, but that doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's a involved game that has a unique mechanism I have not seen in the game before. Let's look. Now the goal of this game, as most of these games is to get the most points. And I'm not going to go over every little rule of this game, so you want to make sure you read the rule book. Actually, you want to make sure you read the two rule books. There's like a basic rule book that explains how to play the game, and then there's a chronicle which explains what a lot of the little actions are in the game. The basic rule book tells you the basic things, which I'll tell you now. But before I do that, players are trying to get points. Each player has a barge in the river, and they all start at a negative 11 points. As time, you're going to want to move them down the river. They can go all the way up here to a positive 11 points. And so where your barge is at the end of the game is points. There's also some tokens called sparrows, which you'll use over the course of the game, but they're worth a point. And you can get points as the game progresses, and you will especially get points from cards. There are many different cards in the games. Some of these cards can be played during the game for an action. That's the top half of the card, but the bottom half of the card, like Martin Luther or the Reformation card here, gives you 2 points for each cathedral card that you have in front of you. Or this one here is a barrel card, and at the end of the game, 1 barrel card's worth 3, but if you have 3 barrel cards, that's worth 15 points, a set of them. So there's a lot of different points, but the way you're going to get points is, on your turn, players are going to draw a tile from the bag. And they're going to be concentrating on this grid up here that's of 3 by 3 tiles. So let's say I drew a white tile from the bag. I'm then going to push a row or column here. So I could do this, for example. I could push this row up here. Now, once a row has been pushed, that row can no longer be pushed again until this tile is cleared from that spot. It can't even be pushed in the opposite direction. There's still other places that can be pushed. These 2 columns can be pushed. These 3 rows can be pushed in either direction. Once you push a row, the 3 tiles that you have there now, those are the 3 actions that you can take. You can take these actions in any order, unless you can't afford to do the action or something like that. This white action here lets you take all the tiles that are in one of these. So I might take this one here. That's pretty simple. This action here gives you a coin, so you're going to need coins, so that's a way to get money. This action here is going to let you move your boat. Okay, so that's one of the ways to move boats. And then this action here lets you either draw cards or play cards. When you draw cards, you're going to have to use tiles that you've collected to draw the cards. Multiple tiles of the same color are going to let you draw more cards. And since cards are pretty critical to the game, this is a pretty important action. And then seal action. This is probably the most important action of the game. Each player has seals of their color. And when you do a seal action, you're going to place the seal in an area where your barge is. So at the beginning of the game, the barges have this area here and they have this area here. And each of these areas that they have are going to allow them to do different things. So we'll go over a few of the actions here to explain a few of them. So when you place one here in this first section, you're going to draw the top 2 seals, city seals here, and you're going to pick one and put the other one on the bottom of the draw pile. Now when you pick these do 2 things. One, every one of these buildings is on the outside of this little grid up here. So you find that building, so let's say I choose this building here. I'm going to put my token there like that. Anytime a row is pushed into my area where there's one of my tokens, I get one of these sparrows. Remember, these are a point at the end of the game, but these can also be spent when you draw a tile from the bag, instead to take one of these tiles over here and use an exact tile you want, which could be pretty handy. When you take one of these tiles, you get to put it over there on the board, you're also going to get the points that are in the top left-hand corner. And if it is a gold one, not silver, silver ones give more points. Gold ones don't give points right away, but this gold one, I find the matching building on the board. So in this case, the matching building is down here. And I'll put one of my seals on it. So let's say I'm the red player. I put a seal there. Anytime somebody places an action in that area, then I'm going to get the second number of points on this tile. So you can see that I can get up to 6 more points when other players go to that spot. So I have to sit here and go, do I want 4 for sure, or do I want 3 with a possibility of 6? This definitely seems better, but at the same time, maybe not everyone's going to get that far on the board as they move their barges. Also, I might pick based on where the different things are up here to get those points. So that's one thing. If you put an action here, you'll get one of these soldiers, which give you a special ability like this guy here. If you manage to get 3 of the same shape up there in that grid, you get 2 points if you get them in a row or a column or a diagonal column. And there's 4 different guys here that you can grab. There's 8 total, so you'll have different ones from game to game. Some will give points where you're based on the board. Some will let you draw tiles from the bag. Some will let you do cards. You can play 1 card for free on your turn, but you might want to play more. So all these different spots on the board are going to let you take various actions. And when you get to here on the board, you'll even get some bonuses if you move your barge far enough. At the end of a turn, players are going to get rid of one of these tokens here to show that another turn of the game has gone by. You can play a variant where each of these has a action or something that happens on it to add some variety to the game. But that's basically how the game goes. I know that that's kind of just a brief overview of it, but the game is all about moving and manipulating these tiles up here and deciding what spots on the board you want to take to give you special actions. Now, Ulm is a game that's basically a bunch of victory points in different ways, right? The theme is kind of there. I do like that they added the cathedral. In fact, these tiles that you use to show how long the game is fit into the roof of the cathedral. So that's kind of a nice visual representation. And I'm always glad the board is pretty and everything. But other than moving your barge down the river, you're getting points in various ways through seals and moving tiles. That doesn't mean a lot. But it's that moving tile mechanism that is really the crux of this game. It's like a new thing I haven't seen before. You take a tile, you slide one at the beginning of the game. You have 12 different things to do, and each of those 12 things is going to provide you with 3 actions. So you're trying to find the best actions that you can take. And there's going to be more and more tiles, and if it ever fills up completely with tiles where you can't move any row or column, they all go away and you put more out. But usually people won't do that because they want those tiles. They're going to use the actions to get those tiles in front of them so that they can trade those in for cards. And the cards themselves are fascinating. Each card has an action. Like, for example, this card here, the steeple card, I can turn in a tile now for 6 points. So I get rid of the card and a tile for 6 points. Or I can save this for the end of the game where it's worth only 3 points. But if I have all 3 parts of the cathedral, I will get 18 points. So most of the cards are like that. You can do something really cool now, or you can save them at the end of the game for points. Now, there is some luck, obviously, in the tile you draw from the bag. Sometimes you'll draw a tile and you're like, oh, this is not an action I wanted. However, you can always use those Ulm sparrows to change the action to one that you do want. Or you can just suck it up and move it, and you should still get at least a couple actions that you want. And as time goes by, as people start having their discs on the outside board, you're like, oh, I really want those 3 actions, but I'm giving that person an Ulm sparrow. And that's cool. You get more of your sparrows on, you get more of your tokens around that grid. Yeah, people are going to be forced to give you things. So that's kind of a neat concept, and that grows. I also like the barges. Some people are going to be like, get that barge down the river as fast as you possibly can. And other people are going to move slowly because the slower you move, you can take all these actions and get all kinds of cool things. So there's a lot of good, tough choices to be made over the course of this game. You might, at some points, you'll draw the tiles. Okay, where is this building on the board? Oh, what does this mean? You'll be constantly looking things up because there's all these different actions. And after a while, you learn what the actions do, but you don't naturally know them at the beginning. There is certainly variety in this game, especially if you play with the flip side of those tiles. But there's the 4 special characters are going to be different per game. The way that the grid is built, but it's all about that grid. So I like it. It's not like it didn't blow me away, but that unique mechanism of sliding those tiles in gave me some thought. Now, it does provide sometimes the occasional analysis paralysis where somebody is sitting there going, oh man, I don't know which tile to push where. You're like, just move. I'm ready to go. I know what I'm going to do. But there's also interaction to some degree as I watch you move those tiles and then realize by sliding a row or column, I might be helping you out too. I might be collecting a set of cards and you have those cards. So maybe it's worth it for me just to play them as an action. Not real thrilled that the rule book is split into 2 different books. I don't see the necessity of that, like having all the special stuff in one book and having the rules in another book. So if I want to know something, I'm not sure sometimes which book to go to. And, it is just kind of another themeless style game. But it is very well put together. Pretty cool to check out. That's Dice Tower Judgment, approved!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!